and today we're going to discover that God is with us always. But let me start by asking you a question. Have you ever had a really, really fun day? Perhaps with your grandparents or your favourite aunt. And your day was filled with so much excitement that the whole day felt like a really great adventure. Until you were on your way home and your family really needed to stop at the supermarket. So reluctantly, you get out of the car, you go into the supermarket, and then you decide to wander off. You go down a completely different aisle, you get distracted by everything you see around you, and then you look behind and you realise that your family are nowhere to be seen. But do you think your family would A, continue doing their shopping, not even realising that you weren't following them? B, realise you were gone and just decided to completely abandon you in the supermarket? Or C, run around the shop, yelling your name, trying to find you as quickly as possible? Perhaps it does take them a moment to realise that you're gone, but I am confident that when they start looking for you, they are not going to stop until they find you. But in that moment, maybe you're feeling a little bit scared, a little bit lonely, and you feel like you're never going to be found. But you too start calling out for your family, and guess what? You realise that they were always there, but just for a moment they were completely out of sight. But I would love to tell you a story about a man in the Bible, and this man is called Jonah. And I think we're going to find out that he too may have felt a little bit lonely. He may have felt a little bit scared, and he also called out for someone. But before we get into the story, how about we sing one of our favourite songs at Class Kids? It's called Tell the World. We sang it last week, we're going to give it another go. So boys and girls, jump up on your feet, join in and have lots of fun.
Shout and say, I'm gonna tell the world that Jesus lives in me. I'm gonna shout it out for everyone to hear it. Taught us how we should love. Jesus, you are the only way to the Father up above. Now I can live to show your love, to follow you each day, but I won't keep it locked inside. I just want to shout and say, I'm gonna tell the world that Jesus lives in me. I'm gonna shout it out for everyone to hear it. Jesus is alive and he's living in me. Jesus
started with the story of Jonah. God told Jonah to go to a place called Nineveh. And God wanted Jonah to tell all the people that they were doing really bad things. But Jonah, he didn't want to get involved. Jonah didn't want to have to go and tell all the people to stop doing these bad things because Jonah wanted all of the people to be punished. So he decided that he wasn't going to listen to God, and instead, he was going to run away. Jonah got on a boat heading for Tarshish, a city that was so far away from where God wanted him to go. But Jonah decided that he was going to leave, abandon God and the task that God had given him. But while Jonah was on the boat, God sent a really great storm on the sea. And the sea became so rough and the boat was getting tossed and turned everywhere. And long story short, the rest of the men on the boat decided that they were going to throw Jonah overboard into the sea. And then all of a sudden, the sea became completely calm. But what about Jonah? Well, God allowed a really great fish to swallow Jonah. And Jonah was inside this fish for 3 days and 3 nights. But hold on a second, what must it have been like for Jonah inside this fish? What would Jonah have seen when he looked up? When he looked to the right, to the left, beneath him? I am sure it must have been rather dark. And I can't imagine Jonah sat in one place the whole time. As the fish was moving and swimming around, I imagine Jonah was almost moving and swimming around inside too. But whilst Jonah was inside the fish, he decided to start calling out to God, hoping that God would hear him. He asked God to forgive him for not listening to him and for ignoring what God had asked him to do. But do you think that God was listening? Or do you think because Jonah ran away, God decided that he was going to leave Jonah, abandon Jonah, and forget all about him? Of course not. God did not leave Jonah and God did not forget about him. God actually heard everything that Jonah prayed. And God was with Jonah through it all. Even whenever Jonah didn't want God around, God was always there. And in the Bible, in the book of Hebrews, chapter 13 and verse 5, it says, God has said, I will never leave you, I will never abandon you. If you ever have a moment where you're feeling alone, hopefully not like Jonah, because hopefully you're not going to end up inside a great big fish. But maybe for you, you're feeling left out from your friends. Or maybe you're somewhere new and you don't know anyone. You could be sitting an exam or a test, or maybe you're doing something by yourself that makes you really nervous. Perhaps like a drama performance. Whatever it is, whatever the situation, remember this verse, that God is always with you and he will never leave you and he will never abandon you. But boys and girls, how about we all try this verse together? But this time, you're going to add in your name. And I would love for you to say the verse with your name in it. Let me show you an example. God has said, Helen, I will never leave you. I will never abandon you. Richard, I will never leave you. I will never abandon you. Hannah, I will never leave you. I will never abandon you. Joel, I will never leave you. I will never abandon you. I'd love you to give this a go and you try and put your name in the gap. The following verse in Hebrews goes on to say, I will not be afraid because the Lord is my helper. God will come alongside us, not just on a certain day of the week, but every day. And we can have confidence that God will never let us down and he will never leave us and walk away. and we can confidently say that God is there, always ready to help us when we need Him.